You're listening to Head Voice, bringing you inside the minds of the best in contemporary a cappella. I'm Evan.
And I'm Kayla. And this week's episode is the first of a two-part series featuring members of the groups competing in the International Championship of A Cappella Open Finals. This is the first year Varsity Vocals has done the Open, featuring performers from high school all the way to seasoned professionals. In this episode, you'll get to hear from Vocalight, the Quintessence, NoVI, Transit Vocal Band, and Backtrack.
We're very excited to be announcing our very first giveaway. We have 2 pairs of tickets for the finals at Carnegie Hall on September 23rd. How it works if you want to enter is you can either go to our Facebook post or Instagram post about this episode and tag 2 friends who you think would like our podcast, and you'll automatically be entered to win a pair of tickets. Additionally, if you want to tag 4 of your friends, that gives you a second entry. We will be randomly drawing winners, and we will announce those winners next week in part 2 of the series on September 13th, which is next Wednesday, so look out for that. Kayla and I will both actually be there at the finals, so we're super excited to meet some of you with this giveaway.
So before we start our episode, to all our West Coast listeners, we just wanted to give a quick shout out to a benefit concert that's happening in the LA area. So our friend Sean P. Gorecki is putting on the Give a Helping Paw a cappella benefit concert on Saturday, September 9th at 7 p.m. At the Hermosa Beach Community Theater in LA. Tyler is 8 years old and very low functioning autistic, completely nonverbal, and to top it off has type 1 diabetes. A service dog that can sense when his blood sugar drops could save Tyler's life and get his family back on their feet.
It's a really amazing cause, and a lot of people in the a cappella community have rallied around this concert. Some of the groups that are performing at the show include Top Chef Vocal, Miscellaneous, #44B, and Turnstile. Turnstile has actually done a video to promote this concert, which we will leave a link for in the show notes below, as well as the link for the website, giveahelpingpaw.com, where you can find out more info. Tickets are $20, and we really hope that you guys can make it out. They also are accepting donations if you can't make it there in person. Best of luck to Sean, Tyler, his family, and everybody involved. Well, without any further ado, we're going to get into the episode. First up, we have the winners of the Midwest Open SemiFinal. Hi, guys. So, what are all your names and where are you all from?
My name is Joe, and I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
My name is Faith, and I am also from Dayton, Ohio.
My name is Justin Critchfield, and I am also from Dayton, Ohio.
And what group are you guys in?
We are in Vocalight.
Woo!
And what are all your roles in the group?
I sing bass.
I sing alto, mezzo.
And I do the vocal percussion and sometimes sing things off key.
How long has Vocalight been around, and how did you guys start?
We've been a group for just about a year now. We started last summer, and we basically founded because our group is kind of made up of 2 local high school a cappella groups called Forte from Centerville High School and 11th Hour from Kettering Fairmont High School. And we basically kind of just joined up because we both kind of noticed each other in our respective groups and were like, hey, we should make a thing out of this.
If you want to find out more, please check out Ben Spalding's episode, which I will link in the show notes. How would you guys describe Vocalight's style?
So our sound is basically, we like to take pop music that people know and love, and then we like to put our own spin on it. And we are all, we have a really wide palette of different genres that we all sing well. And I think that when we all come together, we have kind of an R&B twist to things. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of to just go off that, what are your group's biggest inspirations?
We all have our own individual inspirations, I would definitely say. Mine are John Mayer, Leanne LaHavas, obviously Beyonce Knowles. What are yours?
Yeah, we're all very different vocally. I would say my musical inspirations are Adam Lambert, Lady Gaga, people who are very they're just a lot. I really like that.
For myself, I am definitely kind of I like to think of myself as the a cappella guru, and it's mostly the only thing I listen to is obviously Pentatonics, Humphrey, Voice Play, the SoCal Vocals, obviously Pitch Lap from Berkeley.
Cool. So how often have you guys been gigging in the last year?
Over the summer, we did a lot of touring. We went to Wisconsin, and we competed in the Varsity Vocals Open in DeKalb, Illinois. Recently, we have been doing more local gigs, kind of like a benefit concert and just things around the Dayton area. We've been focusing a lot more on our Varsity Vocals set to prepare for finals in New York. So it's been a lot less busy recently. Not in the sense that like we haven't been working, but like we've been working more internally than like producing content, I suppose.
What was your semifinal experience like?
It was actually it was really interesting. It was such like a roller coaster, and it was something where it was a mix of emotions really. Walking in, I think we were all kind of excited and also scared out of our minds because we knew some of the groups from the regional area, and then there were some groups we've like never heard of, and we knew one of the groups in Harmonic Fusion had taken second place at finals last year at the high school competition, and so that was something that we were all definitely scared about, but you know, ready to kind of give it our all. And I think it was very rewarding for us because we were all very scared but very excited but very scared, and then you know, after we kind of won it, it was like, oh wait, like let's have confidence in ourselves, and we, you know, we're great.
So how are you guys preparing for the finals, which is in just a few weeks?
So we've actually been trying to compartmentalize and like keep separate the rehearsals for different aspects of our set. So as you guys know, we have our like 12-minute set, and we have different rehearsals usually for music and choreo, and then we have different like meetings to talk about what we want to look like on stage, what each of the songs mean, what we want to wear, and stuff like that. Just kind of logistic things. We went through and we also watched our set from the semifinal, and we kind of took notes on that, kind of similar to how like a football team would look at tapes to see like what they did well and like what plays they did wrong and correctly. And so yeah, that was actually really helpful for us because we could see like what visual things that we did well, because that's something we can't see, and then we could hear like, oh, like that song sounded better than I thought that it did, or that looked better than I thought that it did, or that looked bad. Whoopsies.
Cool. So what are you guys most looking forward to about performing on the final stage? And then also, who are you most excited to see perform?
I think all of us are super excited about performing at Carnegie Hall because like that's so historic and like crazy, and it's kind of like a childhood dream of like all of ours to like perform at Carnegie Hall. Like what musician does not dream about singing at Carnegie Hall? And I think like performance wise, we're really excited to see Legacy just because we all did go to A Cappella Academy and those are our friends, and like we're so excited to see our friends and see how well they do. So yeah, we're really excited about that.
Awesome. So what would you guys do if you were to win the $25,000?
I think for us, if we were able to win the finals, I think it would be such a huge kickstart for us, and to kind of turn the gauge from kind of like semi-professional to like really kind of like going places and doing things and being kind of like the ideal professionals. I think we've had like a lot of specific plans with it as well. We're planning on going to London in January. Yes. And I think we also have an album in the works that we're really trying to kind of get started and kind of get organized. Hopefully that'd be like a mix of like covers and originals, and we also would hope to be doing some traveling and kind of, you know, start making our set even longer and make it, you know, more of a show.
Cool. And then just kind of looking past the ACK Open, what are your sort of long-term goals?
So we've actually been thinking a lot about the future lately, just because we've all started to commit a lot more time to this, and it's starting to become something that we all definitely want to make a commitment to in the near future. So we actually have some plans. Like Justin said, we're trying to get an album in the works, and a big goal for us is for us to be able to like make this our actual like full-time job, so that we could tour and make money, and this could be our living. And that's kind of a dream of ours, because we have always wanted to do performing as a full-time job, because that's just what we're all really interested in. We love it. We have fun doing it. We all get along really well. So touring and traveling and just doing all that kind of stuff together is something we definitely would love to do. So just all the things that come along with that. So hopefully an album soon, more concert dates, more traveling to different countries, just big stuff like that.
Yeah, that all sounds amazing. Just a couple last little fun questions. Do you guys have any pre-show rituals that you've developed before you perform?
Well, one thing specifically that Joe, Holly, and I do, we will kind of put on some like super wild music, like something super hype. Like normally, this sounds really weird. It's like drag queen music, and we just kind of like pace around the room and we'll dance and we'll just kind of get crazy so that we're all like amped up and ready to go when it's performance time.
Yeah, and on the exact opposite hand, sometimes Lily and I like to sit in a hallway silently and listen to music and kind of just take in the moment and kind of, realize our space.
Something we actually started doing recently directly before the show is we will all talk to each other individually and say, I like you, because it really, it just kind of improves our stage chemistry, and it all just kind of reminds us like, hey, we're here because we like each other and we have fun doing it.
So the final question we have for y'all is, what is the craziest thing that's happened to you at a show?
So something kind of funny that happened to us was we were doing this show in Wisconsin. We were opening for Daya, and it ended up going really well. We were super happy with it. But during our sound check, we could not get our in-ear monitors to work. Like they were staticky and we couldn't hear ourselves. And but Tony Huerta, amazing, got our stuff working, and it was great. And then 10 seconds before we were about to go on stage, the MCs were introducing us. And just when we were about to walk on, I was like, well, my mic's not working. And it was really bad. But then again, Tony came through and fixed it in like just in the nick of time. We walked on stage and it ended up being fine. It was just like a brief moment of panic.
Nice. Well, obviously we hope that doesn't happen on the final stage.
You are telling me.
But thank you for indulging our cheesy morning radio questions, and we wish you guys the best of luck in New York.
Thank you so much.
Next up, we've got the winners of the wild card round.
So, question number 1, what is your name?
My name is Gorecki.
And what group are you in, and where are you from?
Well, the group name is the Quintessence, and we're from Georgia country.
Very cool. And what is your role in the group?
Well, I sing baritone.
How long has the group been around, and how did it start?
Well, actually, we're singing for 5 years. Actually, we had an anniversary 2 months ago, and everything is like pretty cool.
Sweet. How would you describe the Quintessence's musical style?
We can sing. I think that we can sing everything. So we don't have a style, but we prefer to sing jazz music. And Georgian folk music with some jazz chords.
Awesome.
And it seems like you guys are influenced by the Manhattan Transfer, but do you have any other notable inspirations outside of that?
Yeah, sure. We've got inspirations, but the hugest inspiration is to us is Manhattan Transfer, and we love them so much, and we know them, and they're so cool. And we were too young when we started to listen the songs from that group, and actually they are our favorite group and they're our inspiration.
So what have you guys competed in any competitions before the Open?
Yes, actually we've been in Harmony Sweepstakes a cappella festival in New York, then at national finals in San Francisco when we won second place at national finals. We've been competing at many festivals, I think. It was Leipzig a cappella festival. We were at Vocal Total. This is a festival in Austria, in Vienna. We were also at Graz. This is a cappella competition, and so on and so on. I can remember every.
How often do you guys get to go overseas? And then more specifically, how often do you get to come to the States?
Actually, we've been in States 5 times, I guess. If I remember exactly. I don't know. We've been in New York 3 times. We've been in Chicago and in San Francisco, yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool.
So with the wildcard round and the international round, you're just submitting through videos. So what was that like for your semifinal experience?
Well, actually, it was very hard for us because to perform like we had a 12 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to like in these 12 minutes to do our best, and it was not easy. It was like very hard for us, but actually what we did, we think that it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So now that it's coming up, how are you guys preparing for the finals?
Wow, actually, we right now we're working like every single person from the group and the manager and the producer and everyone is here. We're at our producer's house and we're preparing for this competition so hard because we're dying. We want to win this competition so much, and we want to have a good experience also.
Yeah.
So we're working like very hard. We didn't even had a holiday for this summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dedication.
So what are you guys most looking forward to? What are you most excited for about the finals?
Well, we want to get a good experience, and we want to people who will be there be impressed and be satisfied to when they will listen our songs.
So the golden question: what would you and your group do with $25,000?
Oh my God! Actually, we don't know really because we didn't even know that the prize is $25,000, and we didn't even decide it, and we didn't even talk about the money. We just want to get a huge experience because we know that this festival is like one of the best in the USA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously the Open's coming up in a few weeks, but what are your guys' long-term goals looking past the Open?
Oh, actually, we've got so many plans to do and so many projects. But we're gonna work hard, yeah. So we're gonna do some cool stuff, I guess.
Very cool. You might not have an answer to this question, but do you guys have any pre-show rituals or traditions that you like to do before you perform?
Yeah, sure. We always like do things like that. When you put your hand to another group member's hand, and we're doing like that, dun 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 dun. Yes, and we also hold our hands when we're standing as a circle. We're holding our hands and give good energy to everyone,
And then final question. So you guys have obviously done gigs all around the world. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you at a show?
The craziest thing was when we sang our Georgian piece at the competition in New York, and people, they were crying, and it was so impressive for us because the piece what we sang, its name is Tales of War, and actually it's very very hard to understand, and they understood it very well, and they cried, and it was very emotional for us because we're from Georgia, small country, occupied 1,000 times, and this piece is very very hard to explain what we feel when we sing this piece, and they understood it very good, and it was fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, we hope that you have a similar experience at the Open Finals in a couple weeks, and best of luck to you guys.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Yay.
Bye.
And now we're moving across Europe to talk to the international champions. So thank you for joining us. What is your name?
My name is Johnny Stewart.
And what group are you in, and where are you from?
I'm in a six-piece group from London called NoVI. I myself am from Scotland, but I grew up in England, which is why I don't have an accent.
Awesome. What is your role in the group?
So I'm the group's bass, and in the short term, I guess I'm acting as the group's business manager, sort of getting gigs and doing online media.
How long has NoVI been around, and how did you guys start?
So we had our first gig back in February earlier this year. We were the guest group for an ICCA quarterfinal event. And as to how we formed, well, three of us were in a group, a college group in the UK called All the King's Men. myself, Gus, the beatboxer / MD, and Rory, who's the tenor 2 / funny guy. Seb, who's the other tenor with a beautiful flowing blonde hair. Him and I went to school together. And then the other 2, Anna, the soprano, I actually found playing football, would you believe? I mean, I should clarify soccer as opposed to football, because we play a football that you play with your feet as opposed to with your hands. And with Naomi and Rory used to be in a jazz duo together, so they've had that extensive performing experience together. And yeah, just it all came together very organically. And I think we started rehearsing together as a group since like November last year, and then built up enough material. And I guess here we are now.
Very cool.
How would you describe the style that you guys are kind of occupying right now?
Well, one of the things that I think sets us apart as a group is that everyone in the group has their own distinctive vocal quality. Like very often, even with smaller groups, a lot of the singers do sound the same, which gets an awesome, like, homogeneous blend. Whereas with us, with the tonal qualities everyone has, like Naomi's got a very, very distinctive solo voice, Seb, a distinctive yet very different solo voice, and the same with Anna and Rory. So with Gus and I providing like the rhythmic bedrock, the 4 of the upper parts, they've got a beautiful sound going on, like a lovely blend that's like unlike any group I've been in before. Yeah, as to our sound and our style, we like making quite atmospheric music. It's not we're not particularly big on like sort of big choreo, like flashy kind of stuff. It's more music that makes you feel things. So a lot of it's quite ambient, a lot of it's quite emotional, and we write a lot of our own songs ourselves. That's mostly Seb and Naomi driving that, but Gus writes, I write as well, and I think the aim is to try and make it more of a band that is like an art that like expresses music artistically, as opposed to, hey, we loved the new Justin Bieber song, here's a cover of it. Although we did do that with a Bieber song, so you know.
Absolutely. Just to kind of go off,
whatever floats the boat.
Totally. Just to kind of go off that, if you have any, what are some of your inspirations for NoVI?
So when Gus and I first started talking about putting the group together, the 2 big examples of professional groups we looked up to at the time were obviously Pentatonix, just because of the level of success and artistry they've had, and obviously in the UK you can't think of a cappella in the UK without mentioning the Swingle Singers. So I guess the original vision was to try and come up with a group that had that punchiness, that poppiness that Pentatonix have, whilst incorporating that sophisticated musicality and like innovative use of technology that the Swingles have become famous for in recent years. And so that was like our starting point. And then from that point, we've then managed to evolve something that is very much our own.
Awesome. Well, so you guys have, as you've said, only been really gigging since February. Have you competed in anything before, or is this your guys' first competition?
As a group, the Open is our first competition. We so individually, Gus, Rory and myself have competed with all the King's Men at ICCA finals, which was obviously a wonderful experience, which was like, I remember back in 2012, which was my first finals, when that was the SoCal Vocals won it with Tightrope. And like Delilah with a guest group, and it was the first time I'd really heard so many amazing groups in the same place at the same time, all sounding amazing. But yeah, with the group, I guess for professional groups there aren't as many competitive opportunities, which I don't see as a problem, because ultimately once you're like a professional group, your main aim is to be gigging and making content, and like it is very hard, I think, to judge artistry in a competition, which is what I'm excited about with the Open final, because you know, seeing what everyone brings to that.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys kind of had a unique experience so far, just because you are international. So as winners of the international semifinal, what was that experience like, submitting a video versus actually competing in a live setting?
It was not a new one for some of us, because with the ICCA competition, as once was, you had to submit your video for the international round. But it's definitely a very different energy when you're performing in front of a camera. I think our semi-final submission was in Gus's family's living room, which is like a beautiful space. It's like a gorgeous house. But in terms of the energy you get when you're performing in front of like an audience who is like paying to see you and like cheering you on and responding to everything you're doing. Yeah, it was definitely a very different experience submitting a fairly dry video. And also, because with a competition, it's so good hearing what everyone else is like. We didn't get to hear everyone else's videos because there were groups submitting from Australia and Georgia. So there wasn't that competitive element. I know that they're planning on, in future years, expanding to sort of more international rounds, because I think quite a few UK groups would be interested in doing this in the future.
Cool. Yeah. So with the feedback that you've gotten from judges and the finals coming up soon, how are you guys preparing for the performance at Carnegie Hall?
So we've got a big gig coming up next week in London at an awesome venue called the Bedford in Balham, which like Ed Sheeran and Paolo Nutini have played at. So we're in good company. And by preparing fully for that set, we've been able to sort of get in the performance state of mind and really prep on delivering our sound in front of a nice big audience. As for the actual competition set itself, we've taken all the feedback from the judges on board. It was very, very informative. The judges for the international round were people I know and respect, like within the community, whose opinions are so valued. And yeah, taking all the positives on board and the constructive criticisms that they gave, we've been able to sharpen up the difficult moments in the set, maybe bring out emotional qualities that we hadn't been able to do in the video. With like recording a video, I feel that a lot of the concerns that we had about the video will be completely fine when it comes to actually performing in front of an audience, because I know there's that interplay that you have with the audience. Right,
definitely. And I feel like performing on this Carnegie Hall stage is an accomplishment in and of itself, but what are you guys excited for to perform on that stage?
Yeah, it's a venue that is synonymous with music excellence, like throughout the years. My dad, who was a professional choral singer for a number of years, never got the chance to perform at Carnegie Hall. So when like it was announced that we would be going, he was like, wow, I've never ever done that. And yeah, it's pretty crazy for a group that's been in the public eye, I guess, only since February this year, to be competing and singing in such an iconic venue across like the Atlantic Ocean.
Are there any other groups that you're excited to see perform and perform with?
Honestly, like it sounds very cliche to say all of them, but all the groups in the finals are groups that, if you sort of keep your ear to the ground within the a cappella community, you will have heard of pretty much all of them, and they've all got their own thing they bring to the table. I'm really looking forward to hearing Backtrack, actually. I remember when I was an intern at the vocal company, I assisted on a next level production seminar at which Andrew John Kim, who's like their bass and their big guy, was attending, and I was blown away by how much he knew and how much like wisdom he had. And then I found Backtrack after that. I was like, wow, that's awesome. So yeah, I've only ever seen their videos, so like seeing them live will be cool.
Right, definitely. And then the golden question is, what would your group do with $25,000?
I think we probably have a few different answers for this one. One of my big aims for the group is to have a lot of really polished, really professional online content. So well-produced videos, doing collaborations with other artists. I've been planning a collaboration series for a few months now. Got some pretty big people involved, both within the community and like singers outside of the community who are friends of ours or like former sort of colleagues of ours or people who we just love musically and want to work with. So for me personally, if we were to win, I would want to devote a decent amount of the budget towards sort of paying for videography services.
Definitely.
And so you mentioned the videos. How does, regardless of what happens at the competition, what are their kind of long-term goals that the group is looking to work towards?
We would love to tour, both within the UK and internationally. That obviously requires building up a fan base, a support base, and avenues that we can use to gig at. It would be awesome to perform at a big like international festival. I remember, I think ever since I've been involved with the community, I remember like hearing about SoJam X, like the big one that the Nor'easters were amazing at and Pentatonics were at. And I just remember thinking, like, I want to have a group and I want to be booked to gig at SoJam. Right. So Dio/Pablo/ anyone who's listening, that could be cool. So I think individually we've all got our own stuff we want to do, but as a group, the main aim is to make music that makes people feel things and to perform that to like as big an audience as often as we can.
Very cool. So we're nearing the end of our interview for today, but what is one of the craziest things that happened to you at a show or performance or whatnot?
Oh yeah, we were doing a private gig in London once, and so Seb's quite a bohemian guy who has like a lot of bands and chains and stuff, and he was wearing this awesome ornate wooden like beaded necklace, and we were sound checking, and he just gave a little tug, and the whole beads was like flying all over the stage. So like this poor assistant from like the company we were gigging for was sort of picking them up and putting them in a plastic bag. God, oh, man. We thankfully haven't had like that many opportunities to have funny stories, which I'm hoping we can make some more in New York.
Yeah,
definitely,
absolutely. Well, we wish you guys the best of luck. Thanks so much for talking to us, Johnny.
Oh, cheers, guys. Thanks for having us on the show.
Next, we've got the Open Mid-Atlantic Champions. So question number 1, what is your name?
My name is James Wallace.
What group are you in and where are you from?
I am in Transit Vocal Band, or Transit, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, or the Triangle area of North Carolina.
Very cool. What is your role in the group?
I am the vocal percussionist for the group. Sing a little bit here and there, but primarily vocal percussion, and I founded the group in 2005.
What is like the origin story of Transit?
So for college, I went to North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I joined a group called the Grains of Time while I was in school. I was in that group for 3 years. And as I was finishing school, I realized that I wanted to continue to do a cappella. I wanted to try to do it professionally if I could.
Yeah.
And so just before my last year at school, I emailed and called a bunch of people up that I knew from different a cappella endeavors and kind of put an audition together to start a new group, a new 5-member group with the aim of being a professional singing group, professional a cappella group. So it really just came about from me wanting to continue to do this after college. I think I'm a little bit older than you guys, so kind of I probably have a similar origin story to a lot of folks who are my age, where I'd heard rockapella when I was in high school, when I was in college. I heard a few other groups like the House Jacks, a couple other groups, Duende, a few groups like that, and I loved what we were doing. I loved singing. I loved a cappella music, and listening to those groups a lot kind of inspired me to do this kind of music and to try to do it after college.
Very cool. And then the next question is, how would you describe Transit's style or genre per se?
Yeah, so I would generally call us rock or pop rock. We like bluesy kind of stuff. We like most pop music. We love rock music, but probably pop rock. That's probably the area I would most easily fit us into. The category I'd most easily fit us into.
Yeah. How often do you guys perform locally or out of state?
Yeah, so Transit as a group, our performances really are mainly kind of two different areas. One, we do a lot of educational programs in the Raleigh area of North Carolina and Charlotte. We do a lot of educational programs for elementary, middle, high schools. So we do a lot of that. And we also do a pretty fair bit of fair and festival and art series performances too. So it's kind of a split between your more standard concert kind of performances and then the educational programs. It'd be a little hard for me to put an exact number, but we perform a lot between, those two different types of performances. We do a lot each year. So
very cool. And just to kind of go off the performance aspect, is this your first competition or has the group done competitions in the past?
So the very first iteration of Transit, this would have been probably in 2006. We competed once at the Harmony Sweeps in the Virginia, D.C. region. That was obviously quite a while ago. But that's the only other time this group has competed. When I was in school at NC State, I competed 1 year in ICCAs. One of our other group members, our bass singer, Orrin Bailey, he is just very recently out of the Grains of Time at NC State himself, and they went to a couple of different ICCAs. So we have a little bit of collective experience performing in competitions, but Transit itself only one other time. In this particular membership of Transit, this is the first competition we've done together.
Gotcha.
Cool. So what drew you guys to the open competition specifically, and what was the whole semifinal experience like?
I think originally what drew us to it was, well, one, we heard about it through a number of different means, just from connections we have to different folks in the a cappella community online, we heard about it. And I think one of the things that was interesting to us was to see if I think you would call it the professional competition experience would be as fun and as rewarding as the collegiate competition experience had been for myself and for Orrin. I think we were just interested to kind of see what it would be like. I mean, certainly the chance to perform with a lot of your peers, the chance to go to New York City, the possibility of winning the prize. I mean, all that's great, of course. But I think we were interested and really a little curious, really, just to see how is this thing going to be the same as ICCAs? How's it going to be different? All that sort of stuff. And being the first year, we thought, well, I mean, probably as good a year as any to try to get our foot in the door and have this experience and have a chance at getting to New York. So that's really what drew us to the competition in the first place. The semifinal experience was unbelievable. It was fantastic, really. There were six other groups that were competing there, and I guess you would call it the DC region or the Maryland, Virginia, DC region. Yeah. And we knew a couple of the groups. We had relationships with a couple of the groups, so we knew we were going to have a fantastic show just from the few of the groups that we had seen. But then we got to see groups like Traces for the first time live ever. That was an incredible experience. And so I think Remix from Florida, I believe they formed just for the semifinal. They were unbelievable. Yeah. So it was really fantastic to see all of the groups. Some we knew, some we didn't, and really there was a really good diversity of song style, of repertoire, of performance style. So it was really cool to see all of that and to be a part of all of that.
Awesome. And so now that it's coming up rather quickly, how are you guys preparing for the finals?
Yeah, so we're rehearsing kind of like mad people, as you can imagine. I'm sure everyone who's coming to the finals is doing the same thing. Yeah. We're definitely making some changes, making some tweaks. Certainly, we know the caliber, I should say, of group that's going to be competing in New York. So we're always trying to get better, always trying to be the best we can be. But yeah, we're just putting in a lot of rehearsal time, putting in a lot of refining, putting in a lot of focus on the changes and the updates we want to make to improve our sound, to try to give the best 12 minutes we can.
Awesome.
So here's the $1,000,000 or $25,000 question. If your group were to win, what would you do with the prize money?
We haven't actually made a firm decision on this yet. I think, to be completely honest, I think we're somewhat of the mindset, if we don't talk about it too much, then we don't want to jinx ourselves, so to speak. Right. We don't want to make this really we don't want to. We got our spreadsheet here, how we're breaking down $25,000. We're not going to do all that because we don't want to go down that path. But well, I mean, we've kicked around a few things. I mean, we are a professional group, and we do have to maintain our own sound equipment. So we've been thinking about possibly making some upgrades to our sound equipment. We have some other things we've been thinking about lately for other ways to be active, other ways to other professional avenues to explore with our sound and with our group. So, there may be some investments in some of those other avenues we might be thinking of making if we were to somehow win the money. But something like that, some combination of those things, I think is probably what it ended up being. Again, we're trying to just focus on the performance right now so we can do the best we can do there.
Yeah.
Cherry on top if we win the money, so to speak.
Definitely. And looking past the Open, what are some of your sort of long-term goals for the coming year or 2 years or whatnot?
Yeah, so I mentioned a minute ago, we kind of have two different kinds of performances we do. We are actively trying to kind of expand the scope of our educational work. Raleigh and Charlotte are kind of really good base areas for us in North Carolina, but we're trying to explore some other areas in North Carolina where we might be able to get some work as well. We're actually also looking to find some other areas where there might be festival, fair, art series work as well. We've done a lot of college performances in the past. We don't do a lot of that right now, but we might look back into that. And honestly, one thing that I would love to see as a result of this experience, kind of regardless of what the outcome is, what the places are, I would love to turn this opportunity into our group having more of a presence at some of the a cappella festivals around the U.S. Internationally, if that's even remotely possible. I mean, things like that. That'd be for me. I mean, that'd be a great outcome, regardless of placing or winning any money. I mean, the ability to kind of get ourselves more active in the a cappella festival circuit, so to speak, that would be fantastic from my point of view.
Awesome. Well, we're at the end of the interview, and we have just one last fun question to ask. What is like the craziest or most memorable thing that's happened to you at one of your shows or performances?
We had a show a few years ago. We had a show in Rhode Island, and a couple of days later, we had a show in Ohio. And we ended up, for whatever reason, we ended up driving from Rhode Island to Ohio instead of flying. And the car we were taking, the member whose car we were taking said very clearly, my gas gauge is broken. It says empty, but, it's fine. We're going to be fine. I know what I'm doing. And we're like, okay. So we're on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and I'm driving, and the gas gauge has been on E for a long time, but he said we're fine, and I thought we had filled up recently enough, and then sure enough, I'm just driving on the turnpike a million miles an hour, and the car just slows down to nothing. And so we're just kind of stranded out here on the Pennsylvania Turnpike with cars just whizzing by. And that was the first time I've ever been on that highway, but gas stations are many, many, many miles apart. And so we were really kind of stuck in probably a pretty dangerous situation. So we had to kind of get off the highway as best we could and wait for several hours for a tow truck to come get us and bring us some gas. So it was not the most pleasant experience, but it was probably the most dangerous experience we've ever had. And it was definitely a little frightening for a few minutes there.
Well, here's hoping you take a different car to Carnegie Hall and that you make it on time.
I appreciate it.
And we wish you the best of luck.
It.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And last up for today's episode, we have the hometown champions of the Northeast SemiFinal.
So, what is your name?
My name's Andrew Kim.
And what group are you in, and where are you from?
I'm in Backtrack, and we're based in New York City.
And what is your specific role in the group?
My role is music director, and I sing bass as well.
Congratulations on winning your semifinal. What was that experience like?
It was a little unexpected, honestly. There were a lot of good groups in our semifinal, and if you look at the score sheet, it was really close. So we were definitely a little surprised, or at least I was a little surprised. But we were pretty thrilled with the outcome.
So how are you guys preparing for the ACK Open finals that are coming up in September?
After going through the video, we saw that there's a lot of places we could polish up our set, especially visually. So we're hoping to amp up the choreography a little bit. We're also thinking about switching out a song, so that's something that we're working on right now.
Cool. So you mentioned in the episode that we just recorded that will come out later that you'd actually been to Carnegie Hall when you performed with a boys choir back in the day. So you're returning to Carnegie Hall, which must be exciting. But what is the group most excited for, like, in the process of going back?
We are most excited to say that we've performed at Carnegie Hall as a group, I think. And
That's a valid answer.
Fair deal.
And our agents are super excited about that as well. They are like telling everyone they can who would hire us.
The big question, what would your group do with $25,000?
Well, first we need to pay rent. So and September's kind of a slow month for us. So that'd be nice. Other than that, we would hire people for our music videos, and definitely invest in some more sound equipment, because you can never have too much sound equipment.
Yeah. And then, so tying into that, what are some of the group's long-term goals that you guys are hoping the Open thrusts you towards?
First would be to have a little more financial stability in the group. Right now, month to month, our income fluctuates. So to make a regular amount would be great. Beyond that, we're hoping to make an all-original EP and kind of try and figure out where our voices are as songwriters lie.
Cool. So you might not have an answer to this question, but do you guys have any pre-show rituals or any things that you do before you go on stage and all that?
This kind of accidentally happened, but we usually get sushi before our performance, before a competition. And every time we've gotten sushi, it's kind of worked out in our favor. So we'll probably keep doing that, just as like a... Yeah, you should definitely do that for the Open.
You heard it here first. Raw fish is great for your voice. So you guys have gigged a lot around, various states. What's like the craziest show that you guys have done?
The best shows are summer camps, in our opinion, definitely. The kids are just kind of amped up because of summer camp life. At one point, these kids made shirts with like our names on it and the group's name on it, and they like knew our names, like our actual names, and we're just yelling the entire time. It was like, wow. They thought we were Beyonce. It was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Has your group participated in any competitions before the AC Open?
Yes, we've done Harmony Sweepstakes and did not do too well in that about a year ago. We did Sing Strong about a year ago as well, and we won the ACA Challenge in DC. I think it's hosted by the Alexandria Harmonizers, and we won that one. So we've competed a bit.
Last question here. You guys are, full-time gigging professionals, but also you guys are YouTubers, and a big thing that YouTubers do is collabs. So what would be your dream collaboration video for Backtrack?
Yeah, we'd love to collaborate with Pentatonics. If anyone wants to hook that up for us, that would definitely be a dream come true. Just because we kind of modeled our channel after them and their success as well. So,
well, we wish you great success at the Open Finals, and we hope that Backtrack has a great time. Thanks for coming on, Andrew.
Of course, my pleasure.
That just about does it for this episode. We hope you'll join us for part 2 next week on Head Voice.